Razer Viper Ultimate Wireless. I'm going to talk about what comes in the box. I'm going to talk about the buttons. I'm going to talk about the weight. I'm going to talk about the shape, and then wrap it up with my final thoughts. So let's go ahead and start. What comes in the box? Get the mouse, obviously. It has a little door here where your little nano receiver sits. Green on there for Razer. And you have the charging base stand, which has these little spring-loaded contact plungers, and your wireless dongle goes in there. Micro USB back there has a little bit of weight to it. The bottom side has this. It's not an adhesive, but it certainly feels like one. It feels like a super tacky silicone, sort of like those suction cup things they have for like car phone mounts and such. Quite nice. Now for the mouse itself. Let's go into the buttons. So the buttons left and right mouse are a little bit more tactile than the industry standard Omron D2FC-F-7Ns. There's a little bit more of a click to the clicks, um, and a little bit more force to actuate them. Maybe, in my opinion, I don't have any. I replace all my Omron switches because to me they're like a solid 5 out of 10 micro switch. There's better stuff out there, so I solder in my own. These are good. There's a little bit of post travel, but no real pre travel, so that's all right. Side buttons, good tactility to them. I'm a fan of the position. They're very similar in size and location to the Zowie FK series, which I have an FK2 wireless here. Um, if you notice, the mouse sort of as the contours of the mouse sort of roll over the top, those buttons are situated right where that rollover starts happening. So as far as accidental clicks, I think you're going to avoid them. And they did chamfer the edges. It's hard to see here on camera, but they did chamfer those edges. So when your thumb's hunting around for those buttons to figure out which one to click, you don't really go by, um, a certain ledge or whatever. You definitely feel the texture change from the rubber to the plastic, and it's not the easiest to find, but it's not bad either. Um, Scroll wheel and middle mouse feels acceptable. It's heavy, pretty standard. And as far as the scroll wheel steps go, those are actually quite heavy. It's not louder than a standard scroll wheel, but definitely heavier. It reminds me of how you could take decoder wheels for these, which is basically like a plastic disc with detents all around the circumference, and then a metal leaf spring would sit against the detents, and as you rotated it, the leaf spring would come out and then go into each detent, and that's how it indexed each one. And you could take that metal leaf spring and you could bend it more so it presses into it more, and it gives this effect of a heavier scroll wheel, but you have more defined steps, but they are a little bit more effort, probably double the effort to go to each one. Great for gaming, for browsing, if you're doing this all day on Reddit or on whatever you're doing. Yeah, you might get tired. Let's talk about now the weight. The weight, it feels very light. It's great seeing super light wireless mice, especially ones that don't have a whole bunch of holes in it, because I am taking this to work, and if I bring a Swiss cheese mouse in, I'm gonna get comments from all my coworkers, and they're gonna think I'm more crazy about mice than I already am. So this thing, it definitely feels lighter than a standard mouse of the size, which is cool. Does it feel lighter than my whoops? Does it feel lighter than my G Pro wireless here that I have modded down to 70 grams? Maybe. They feel pretty much similar. I don't know what the exact weight is. Maybe this one might be a little bit heavier. I don't know. The weight distribution is pretty excellent. People talk about it being in line with the sensors being ideal. I would say you want your weight actually in line wherever you lift up the mouse, for example. I hold my mice pretty far forward because I'm a freak. So when I lift my mouse here, it will actually pivot backwards because, well, I'm holding it so far forward. But if you grip it from right in the middle, right where this hourglass shape is and right where the sensor is, this thing is perfectly in line. Great ledges there to assist in picking up too. Absolutely great. This thing really tapers towards the bottom. It's a really nice this V-shaped profile that people are always talking about, so you can get underneath it and lift it up. It's really aggressive right towards the midsection of the mouse, and that makes it great for lifting from that point. Yeah, that feels just super natural. And a good, very natural. Um, yeah, so the weight is fantastic. Um, let's talk about the shape. So the shape I would describe in summary, it is a more curvy FK series. I love ambi mice. I love mice with safe shape, still well defined curves that help you in assisting with lifting and positioning your hand where it needs to be. If you go type over here and then you got to go back to your mouse, this is great. Absolutely great. I would say it's probably on par with an FK series, possibly a little bit better. Um, Again, the V shape is great. The comfort grooves and the buttons are deep. The back has a little bit of a flare out, but it really doesn't get in your way at all. The top side is very flat, which makes it very safe for claw and fingertip. If you're going to palm, probably look elsewhere. Maybe look at an ergo design if you're really doing full slap palm grip. But for claw and fingertip, it's just absolutely great with my sort of, I don't know what my grip is, but I have a tiny smidge of my palm on the very back portion here, which is comfy. My ring finger is under a really nice ledge that's easy to pick up. My thumb is positioned, again, I hold it far forward, so I'm far forward I can't do the old joint trick to hit both buttons. I really do have to go back and up to hit them, but um, this sort of stormtrooper looking thing in the middle, you don't feel it at all. Even if you're doing like a full palm. Um, really great mouse. The sort of gamery aesthetic, the points here, you don't really notice that because your fingers are more central. Really great shape. I'm really pleased with it. Um, Now finally, let's talk about the coating. So this is, I think, the weakest point in the mouse for me. The coating, let's break it down into two things. First thing, the rubber sides. These are a very hard rubber. I would compare it to maybe a boot heel. A little bit plasticky in a certain way. If I put my thumbnail into it, I can't leave a mark. But if you really squeeze it, you're like, oh yeah, that's definitely soft rubber. Um, there's a nice stippling on it. Camera sort of picks it up. Yeah, it's really fine. It's not like a golf ball pattern. This is what it sounds like. So the I'm sorry, the pattern's nice, but with dry hands, I'm telling you, I just feel like I'm slipping right off of it. I live in a dry environment and my hands are dry, so. Um, but then another thing too is the texturing on the plastic parts. So you'll see in the middle here they use a shiny gloss as aesthetics, and I wish they used that on the entire mouse, sides and all. But the texturing that they went with, it's a very fine. Um, Almost like a powder coat type feeling, sort of like a more smoothly textured G305 or such. Um, it really does give the plastic. It gives it a really nice aesthetic. You won't ever get fingerprints on this, but as a person who glossifies all my mice, um, not a huge fan. And I wish the darn thing wasn't $150. Otherwise, I would just go ahead and start glossifying it now and rip off these rubber sides and see if I can trim that down. I did that to an Abyssus V2, which slims the grip width on the Abyssus V2 even more if you take off the rubber sides. And oh man, it's nice. Totally worth it if you guys are interested in a small ambi mouse like an Abyssus. Buy it. They're like $12 on eBay. Rip off the grippy sides and it's amazing. So in summary, really solid mouse. I'm really excited to see what other wireless stuff we get in 2020. 2019's been a crazy year for mice, huh? They started out with, we went like hardcore into good sensors, and then we went into paracording, and now we're into like lightweight honeycomb monstrosities. And this thing's great. It's taken all the good things that I think 2019 has taught and put it into a really excellent package. The feet on this are good. Uh, Nothing to write home about. So, um, yeah. So with that, guess Thank you guys very much for watching. Definitely check out this mouse if you're looking for an ambi shape and wireless, and you have $150 US to buy to throw away. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I'll probably ignore them. And as always, thank you very much for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next.